Thank you for tuning in to the COVID-19 Businesses Helping Businesses Survive the New Normal podcast, providing small business owners with helpful tools, information, and resources needed to survive and thrive even in uncertain times. This episode is sponsored by Toiletry Company, serving as an epicenter for personal health and hygiene products for individuals in underserved communities throughout the world. For more information, please visit toiletryandcompany.org.
Good morning. My name is Donald Anderson, and I'm part of the Business Helping Businesses podcast series, owner of Taylor & Anderson. I'm excited this morning to be interviewing Ms. Rochelle Campbell. She's an executive director of Toiletry Company, and they provide love, hope, and soap to the community. Rochelle, how are you this morning?
I'm doing wonderful. Thank you for asking. How are you?
I'm doing good. Hopefully today we can just provide some better information on what you do and how you do it and what your goals are for your programs and how it helps the community. The first thing I'd like to ask you is, how did you get involved and what led you to start Love, Hope, and Soap?
A couple of years ago, I went through a really traumatic experience at work. Some people want to call it harassment. I call it bullying. And at that particular time, I ended up going home for maybe like 3 or 4 months. And during this time, although I still had a job, I was, of course, running out of my leave, running out of the residual income because the leave was, because I was using my leave. And at one point, I realized that my family, people were supportive and asking me if I needed money for my mortgage, money for car, electric, food, gas, but nobody ever asked me if I needed money for personal care items. So during that time, as I was pondering, God, why me? Why me? And he answered me back and said, why not you? And so I began to realize that if I didn't have it, and I'm somebody who does, in fact, have a job, even though I was on a mental sabbatical, what was it like for individuals who lived in the community or in residential programs that only have enough money maybe for food and rent, but not soap, sanitary napkins, toothpaste, toothbrushes, just the daily hygiene products that we have to use. That's actually what started it. And I was just doing it on a very low scale, just asking people for their trial size items when they go on trips and things like that, just to bring them back to me. And then I would just reach out to different organizations in the community and just start partnering with them just to give it to them. So from that, it led me to actually starting a nonprofit and doing it year round.
Okay. I definitely think, getting the word out on what you're doing is great. And I think your mission and what you're trying to do, and I can feel your passion behind it, is also great. So I'm hoping that as we spread the word with our podcast, that we definitely get the word out there. Just looking at your website, I know you have some partnerships here. Do you want to elaborate a little bit on where you are currently when it comes to how much soap you do per year, and maybe what are your goals this year, 2020, with all this COVID?
So moving forward, one of the things I had kind of got stale in reaching out and doing the things that I was supposed to do throughout the year. So I'm actually in the process of refocusing and rebranding because of the pandemic. I think it's bringing more light to people, understanding that, when you do have a job, you can go to the store and buy toilet paper, or you can go to the store and buy sanitary products. But when you don't have it year round, it becomes like a shock. So when we went through this pandemic and people were like, I can't find toilet paper, or I can't find this, I can't find that. Now I think it resonates to people, the importance of helping people in need with the personal care products. So I'm really revamping and refocusing my attention on not just controlled areas that I typically do. So I'm really broadening my horizon even more. So typically I will do the DMV area. I've done a project with Haiti, but just finding facilities and organizations and people in more rural areas where they don't have the supplies or don't have an opportunity to get the supplies due to lack of employment or transportation, things like that. So we are really focusing on doing more outreach projects and, of course, fundraising and doing larger partnerships with other agencies.
Okay. Where are you based in, Prince George's County, or if you don't mind, where is your focus and how far out do you go?
So to be honest with you, for a couple of years, I partnered with another one of my friends who has a nonprofit, and her focus is on food. So we would typically go to the D.C. area, to the park near McPherson Square, and we would just do that on Saturdays. Or we would go just hand out products. I typically, at this point, reaching back in spiritually, and I just ask God to lead me to where I need to go. For example, I can pray and say, God, I want to, help men in a shelter. Where should I go? And so actually the other day, and I'm about to do this morning, I looked online in Mississippi, found this shelter for men, called it, was able, and this was at 7 o'clock at night, was able to contact the person who's in charge of donations, and he was ecstatic. I'm assuming because most people don't call for toiletries, they might call for clothes or things like that. Right. So I got a group of my peers together, my husband, my son, my girlfriend, and we packed products to be sent to Mississippi this morning. But we're actually local. I do everything from my house just because of the overhead and the cost. So I just purchase throughout the year and just pretty much rely on God to send me to which facilities or which populations at that point I need to help. The toiletry is just the toiletry part. And the company part actually means that I want to work with people in the community to give back to those. So if you've been blessed with products, for that company part to help the next place to receive the products. Or I work with youth organizations. So in our wash calls, we put index cards in there with encouraging messages or encouraging words. I work with Cheltenham Youth Facility and things like that, just to help, to keep everything going, because I can't necessarily house everything, but to help to keep the year, going with the products that we need to be able to supply to the community.
Okay. I know you said you went down to Mississippi and you want to broaden the horizon with your outreach. Do you have a certain goal when it comes to your, maybe look at later this year, next year, 2021, have you set a certain goal with your fundraising and grants and different things that you're trying to look to get? Have you looked that far yet?
Yes. So we're working on that now for next year. And our goal is to reach at least 5,000 people. I've been working with someone to start helping, to write grants and things of that nature, and also trying to work on setting up different fundraisers. Maybe, of course, not in person because we don't know where this pandemic and how long it's going to last, but doing things like the live auctions and things like that, possibly on Zoom. So we're trying to be as creative as possible in this climate, thinking outside the box in order to, keep everything funded. We're working with different companies. The Chemic Group, Mr. Joe Hill, he did a very generous donation, so we really appreciate that, which, of course, helps us to do multiple things. So just reaching out to different organizations to help us. And it gets difficult, some people, say, will contact Dove or but they already have, their local community-based organizations that they support in their particular state or county or city. So we're just trying to broaden our horizon to work with more companies like that to get donated items, or to find people who, have those type of connections with large companies that can donate.
Okay. And as far as the soap that you provide, do you have a rough estimate? How much soap do you provide per year?
So it really just depends. So if you're in a residential facility, then we typically do between 25 to 3,000 bars of soap because we're able to give them a larger amount. But when you're in the community, when you're more, transient, we do the trial size. So that roughly estimates about 1,500.
Okay. And Rochelle, what would you think would be, at this point, what are the biggest challenges that you face as a nonprofit right now currently?
Toiletry Company serves as an epicenter for personal health and hygiene products for individuals in underserved communities throughout the world. Those in need suffer the greatest loss without having basic daily personal care products. Our goal is to educate, supply, and distribute personal care products to the homeless, veterans, domestic violence survivors, and youth communities year-round. We would like to express our sincere gratitude to the community for helping with our annual fundraisers and donations to the organization. Our motto is love, hope, and soap. To learn more about our organization or to donate, please visit toiletryandcompany.org today.
My biggest challenge is having a supportive board. And I know I have several friends who have nonprofits, but just having a board that's very supportive and being a voice for the organization. So that's one of the biggest challenges now. And then, of course, receiving donations on a continual basis. So we're just really refocusing and rethinking how we can do that, both keep a solid, strong board and, have like residual donations to come in.
Okay. And do you offer your community service hours because sometimes you get youth out here that want to help, that maybe just want to do some things volunteer. Do you have any sort of community services for youth that may have an interest in helping the community?
Yes. I strongly support community service. So I have a connection with the Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts, different middle schools and high schools in the area. And I also encourage adults as well. So when they finish their community service, I also give them letters just to show that we appreciate, that you work, you have families, but you're still giving back to the community. So we pretty much partner with most youth organizations in the community, and I partner with a lot of my peers who also have nonprofits, but they might, have like a group that they work with young women, or they might work with young men. So we partner throughout the year so that the individuals can get community service.
Okay. And when you donate, or folks that want to donate, will they just go to your website for that, or is there any special place to take donations?
They can go to our website. Sometimes individuals might have trial size products that they travel a lot and they like to donate, and then I just kind of coordinate. But they can still go to the website and just send me a message.
Okay, great. Now, as far as your organization, I want to get into your vision here a little bit. Where do you see your organization, I guess, in the next 5 to 7 years? Have you thought that deep yet?
Yes, I have thought that deep, and I definitely have put my feet forward. But my goal is to actually have a epicenter for toiletry items, almost like a food bank, but a toiletry bank. And so those individuals in need in the community, or, when we go through pandemics like this, organizations can come there and, pick up items that they might need for their residential facility or individuals. So that is the long-term goal, is to have it set up where people can come and get personal care products.
Okay. Have you looked into, because I know some people do what they call like an e-commerce. Have you looked into that for your website, as far as where people can just go online to get this?
I actually have it through the Amazon Smile.
Okay.
So so Amazon Smile Amazon has a program where you can list the items that you need, and individuals can actually purchase it, and then it'll get sent directly to you.
Okay. And when you launched, because I looked at your website, this was done in 2018. I just want to make sure I'm accurate here. So you within like a 2-year, you've been up and running about 2 years?
Actually, we've been up and running for 5 years.
Wow,
so
okay.
we actually received our 501c3 in 2015.
Okay, great. And as far as your current board, are you looking to expand on your board, or you have any plans to? I know you said one of your challenges is getting support. Are you looking for people on your board? Are you solid with what you have? What type of plans do you have for solidifying your board?
So, yeah, I'm actually looking for individuals on my board. I'm working with an organization that's what they do, is like kind of help you to reorganize or to reshape your board. So I'm just doing more research because that was one of my stumbling blocks in learning as a new 501c3. You know, it's a lot of areas of like brightness and a lot of areas of gray that you have to kind of read and learn about. But I am actively looking for, to revamp my board.
Okay. And as far as your services, I know you know the toiletries. I know that's a course. Are any other services that you offer on the mental health side or hygiene? Can you break down, what your bread and butter as far as your core services and also maybe some ancillary services that you may provide within the organization?
Yeah, so that's one of the focuses for 2021. We actually have a program that's called Mental Health and Hygiene, and it goes from everything from how to wash your face to just the mental health of individuals. And one of the things that I realized, when you're not clean or feeling clean or have the ability to wash, it affects your mental status. It affects your mental health.
Right.
That people, look at you different or grim or like, oh my gosh, this person's coming. So the program actually, kind of help children to understand the importance of personal health and hygiene and making sure that, throughout the lifespan that they relate personal health and hygiene with also your mental health. So we're going to work on doing a webinar with children, like elementary to middle school children. We were trying to do it in the schools, but it was kind of difficult because everybody had to have background checks and time frames and things of that nature. So because of the pandemic, it's just actually helped us to get a different spin on it to maybe, spin it with a webinar instead.
Well, that's great. And as far as your family, how do they feel about your efforts with your family? That I'm assuming they've been supportive with you on everything?
Yeah, so my husband is very supportive. My son is a photographer, so I'm just working with him to do more of the outreach because the one thing about me is I'm more behind the scenes, and I typically don't like pictures. So when I do these things, I actually forget to say, oh, I need somebody to take pictures. So we'll be in the community doing a lot of things, but I might only take like one or two pictures, and that might be a group picture. So I'm really working on, him helping more with the social media campaigns and taking pictures of the actual process and when we do things in that nature. That's pretty much, my family. That's what I live with. But as far as my other family, they're very supportive. When I do fundraisers and things like that, they'll come out and support.
Well, that's great. I want to just end briefly with this, that as you look for things within the church community, D.C., Maryland, Virginia, Love, Hope, and Soap by Miss Rochelle Campbell is a great organization. If you have not seen it or know this story, take a look at their website at toiletryandco.org. Her story is on there, her partnerships, and this organization will be rising very well over the years. And Rochelle has took a challenging situation and turned it into a positive. So definitely take a look at this. If you are led to donate, please do. And I hope this podcast has reached the people that it needs to reach. And now, Rochelle, is there anything that you want to close with before we actually wrap it up? But I wanted to make sure we put that out there. So definitely for people that have not heard about you. Is there anything that's on your heart that you want to end with today?
I just want to thank you and Gail for your support and your willingness to help the business community. You guys have been very awesome. Gail has been very consistent in following up with me, and I truly appreciate that. I just want to thank you all for allowing me to have this opportunity to discuss, what my agency does and how it can help those in the community, and for your support in getting the word out there.
Okay. Well, we appreciate you. And like I said offline, you will be hearing from me. So
Okay.
Gail is the lighter follow-up. I'm more of the, maybe the sledgehammer with a pillow. Okay, so you're going to hear follow-up with you, trust me. But
Okay.
Again, your website is there. There's also a volunteer piece on her website. So I want to make sure that people know that Ms. Campbell does accept that for the youth that may be listening, that you're under 16 or, looking for something to be positive for in the community. Definitely check out toiletrycompany.org. Thank you for your time, Ms. Campbell. And thank you, Gail, for the production piece with Ad Voices. Have a good day.
Thank you for tuning in to the COVID-19 Businesses Helping Businesses Survive the New Normal podcast. Learn how you can spotlight your business by emailing advoices@mail.com. That's ADDVOYCES@mail.com. Remember, we stand stronger when we work together. Be well and stay safe.